Hello and welcome to Soapbox, the soap podcast brought to you by radiotimes.com. We're here every week to talk about the soaps and have a preview of what's coming up. This week we're talking about week beginning 16th of March 2020. I'm Jonathan Hughes and I'm joined by...
David Brown.
David Brown. He's just had a can of Coke, so apologies for any burps.
Coke Zero.
Oh, well done. Well done you. That's a life choice.
But you shouldn't drink gaseous stuff, should you, before you go on air? Because
not really, David, no. But I haven't.
A bit of windy pops.
One of us is professional in this partnership. I'll let you decide who. So with burps aplenty, we're going to talk about next week on the soaps. We're going to start with EastEnders, which has the return of Danny Hardcastle. Who's he, I hear you ask? Who is he, David?
He's Barry Grant from Brookside.
Gabriel was Todd Carty, wasn't it? He was on the bill.
Oh, he was, yeah, that's right.
I always get him and Todd Carty's characters mixed up.
But he's the artist formerly known as Barry Grant.
Barry Grant from Brookside, who was kind of Brookside's Phil Mitchell, really, wasn't he?
Yeah. And he's going to be entangling with Ben Mitchell, isn't he?
He is. Now, you might remember, I think about a year ago, Paul Usher guested as this gangster Danny. Remember that Spanish gangster sideline thing that was going on with Phil and Keanu?
It was all very nebulous, wasn't it, as to what they were actually doing? Wasn't somebody like held in a container?
Louise and Keanu, I believe, were held in containers. Basically, Phil had muscled in on Danny's turf in Spain, and then it all followed him back to Walford. And we caught a glimpse of guest star Danny. He's now back. He's got a proposition for Ben. I think he wants him to do some gangsteriness.
Pre-watershed gangsterism.
The best kind.
Yeah, you never see any kind of like real violence, do you? Because it's on at 7:30 in the evening.
It often involves getting in a car.
You don't see anybody getting shanked, do you?
I don't really want to see a shanking at 7:30. Do write in if you'd like to, viewers. There's none of that. It's often phone calls, texts, and speeding cars.
And sighing.
Yes.
People often kind of just looking and going...
and putting their head in their hands quite a lot. And flak jackets.
But this is basically just going to lead to another kind of blow up between Ben and Callum, isn't it?
Yes, so this is going to... I think Ben's drawn back into the gangster world, and obviously with Callum a copper in training, it puts them at odds. But yeah, what else can we reveal about this?
Well, I saw this picture the other day online on social media, and it was a picture of Ben and Callum together, and underneath it said #relationship goals.
Really?
And I'm thinking that by next Friday, or a week on Friday, their relationship is almost going to be torn asunder. Yet again.
#over.
Yeah. But why do we kind of venerate these relationships between people who never seem to have a day's happiness in their lives?
It's true, isn't it? Because Ron, obviously, are the most obvious comparison. Emmerdale's
Their
Aaron
best
and Robert.
day was when Robert tied Aaron to a radiator.
They never recreated that romance, did they?
Vanity.
Well, they're having like the worst time at the moment anyway. It does. Well, is it couples you can root for? Is that the fact that, life will throw obstacles in their direction, but they will stick together? Although it doesn't sound like Ben and Callum are sticking together because...
It's not really much to aspire towards, really, is it?
I don't think so. But people like to root for true love. And I think, the fact that whatever life throws them, Ben and Callum... They do love each other, but they're just, Ben's constantly in conflict with himself, isn't he? Because he's a Mitchell, but he kind of doesn't really want to be a Mitchell deep down. He just is too scared to admit it.
No, that's true.
Yeah. Very insightful, isn't it? Thought about this.
And they've set up this impossible situation where Callum is an enforcer of the law.
Oh, that's never going to last.
And Ben is a breaker of the law.
So
it's the law that's going to come between them.
#the law. I fought the law, but who won? Are you excited about Barry Grant? I used to love Barry Grant in Brookside.
Yeah, it's fine, but I just find this, whenever EastEnders strays towards the underworld.
Yeah, underworld in Corrie.
No, I get bored very quickly. The only one who I ever thought had real menace to him was Andy Hunter.
I completely disagree because he was about as scary as a biro. He never scared me at all.
Oh, I thought he was quite menacing.
He looked like a football manager. He looked like he was on,
Alex Ferguson could be scary.
Well, I suppose so. He looked like a not very good football manager. He looked like the football manager got sacked because they got relegated.
Did he get tipped over a road bridge by Johnny Allen?
Now we're talking Johnny Allen. There's menace for you.
But he wasn't that tall, was he?
Well,
anyway, this isn't a podcast about 90s EastEnders villains.
It isn't, but we've turned it into it.
Yeah.
So let's see if gangsters are hit and miss. Let's say in EastEnders. So let's see if Danny Hardcastle's second guest stint.
Bring back Kira Maguire.
Ray, where is she? She's waiting for that money. Hello, Sharon. I'd love a night out with you.
Aidan still runs the bar.
Yeah, he does.
That gay bar.
He bought it for £1.
Yeah.
A quick other thing on Sharon while we're doing mentioning Sharon, she has a big decision to make about baby Caden. Is it that she's going to change his name to something sensible?
Yeah, that was just decided in a second by Karen, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit weird.
Is that because it's the same spelling as Karen but just with one letter different?
Oh yeah, maybe. And it's a bit like Keanu.
Yeah,
I don't know. So there's some Sharon, grieving mother Sharon action also to look forward to next week.
There was a very cruel comment on Gogglebox last week. Did you see?
No, I didn't see it. What did they say?
He's a hairdresser guy from Brighton. What's he called?
Oh, Stephen?
Stephen, yeah.
Yeah, and his husband Daniel.
Yeah, he said they showed some of EastEnders, Sharon grieving, and then there was like a BBC action line number running after
if
it.
If you've been affected.
Gogglebox guy said, if you've been affected by the sight of Sharon without her makeup, please call Samaritans.
Shady.
That was really mean.
The shade is real.
Yeah.
Well, we're here for you, Sharon.
Yeah.
We understand.
Makeup or not.
Should we move on to Coronation Street?
Yes.
There's big developments with the horrible Geoff the Coercive Controller storyline. Now, Alya, who is kind of the... who I'm trying to compare it. Is she the Anna Windass? If this is the Phelan story, she's Anna Windass. She's the one trying to bring him down, trying to make Yasmin, her grandmother, see that she's being bullied and treated terribly by this man, and to expose him, because this is going on behind closed doors. You know, some people have suspected, but Geoff is a master manipulator and he manages to cover his tracks. So Alya is on the case. She's horrified when Yasmin says she's moving to Cyprus with Geoff. I mean, imagine that.
I mean, nobody's going abroad these days, but Geoff's moving overseas. Well done.
I think
he's keeping the airlines going.
Geoff really is. Geoff will stop at nothing to get what he wants, even global events. Then Alya finds out that he does have a history, possibly, of abuse. A fray.
Yeah.
What does this give us? What
with a former partner.
Right.
And
she's still about? Do we know much?
We don't know much. A lot of it is embargoed.
Yeah.
But she does bring this to Yasmin's attention, doesn't she?
She does, in the hope that, she'll the scales will fall from her eyes.
The trouble is that Yasmin, she's all Stockholm Syndrome now, isn't she?
She's totally Stockholmed. She's totally... Never mind the stock that chicken was cooked in last week.
Yeah, he should be moving to Stockholm, not Cyprus.
Maybe that's the cover story.
Yeah. But I don't understand, if he moves to Cyprus with her, and then... Just continues to control her in Cyprus?
Yes. I mean, you can control in Cyprus, control in Weatherfield. It's the same controlling. But I think it's because she's going to be away from everybody. The ultimate goal for Geoff is to isolate Yasmin from everybody that cares about her, who has any influence over her, because he just doesn't want anyone else to control her. So this is so drastic in that he's going to move her to another country where they don't know anybody and where... no one's going to pop in saying, "Oh, hi, Yasmin, are you okay? Are you being coercively controlled by a horrible villain? Can we save you?" No one's going to, in Cyprus, no one can hear you being coerced.
But does Geoff not need social people around him either? He doesn't care.
Geoff needs to be put away for a very long time, David. That's what Geoff needs.
I'm worried about Geoff. No, I'm not. I don't care. I want Geoff brought to justice.
Team Geoff? What about Charlotte Bronte? You heartless man. Geoff. Yeah, we all want Geoff brought to justice.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether this is... I feel like there's a lot more to play in this storyline, so I think...
I hope they're not going to go to Cyprus.
I hope they're not going to go to
Cyprus.
Cyprus.
Imagine if that's the DVD spin-off.
Oh, yeah, maybe...
Geoff and Yasmin in Cyprus.
I don't think there'll be many laughs. It's not like the Curly and Raquel one, or like when Roy and Hayley went to Transylvania. I don't think many lols. No,
definitely not.
I don't know if they'll get as far as Cyprus, but I don't think Yasmin is there yet to really see Geoff's true colours. Do you?
No, I think there's a while to go yet before the scales fall from Yasmin's eyes.
Agree, but I'm thinking Alya's pretty tough. You know, people think of Alya, she's the girl next door. She's quite sweet. She's got a bit of a tough side, but let's not forget, Alya showed a very, very ruthless side when she was trying to get Underworld for herself. Do you remember when Aidan Connor
that's
died?
True.
And
she's a bit sappy though as well. She grieved for Luke Britton for about 2 years.
Yeah, but that toughened her up, because when Aidan died, she turned into Alexis Colby for like 5 minutes. She was like, the business is mine. Aidan signed it over to me. And she did play, you know, hardball with like Carla Connor and Michelle Connor for a little while. I mean, she did back down in the end and was like all smiley, but I like that side of her. I think that she's been through quite a lot, Alya. I think you could potentially make her a bit more ruthless. So I'm just fast forwarding to a few months where she's got Geoff in that basement that Phelan had Andy in. And she's bringing in meals and she's totally turned the tables.
Oh, so you think that they should keep Geoff hostage?
Yeah, Alya's going to keep Geoff hostage. Yeah. Alya's the key to the story, I'm telling you.
She can lock him in his own box.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Add like that.
Yeah, that's magic.
Abracadabra. You're having that. That's magic. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's like Debbie McGee's turn.
Yeah, there you go.
We've resolved this storyline.
Then she saws him in half for real.
It's Alya's the new serial killer.
Yeah.
Not Gary Windass.
Yeah. That's your 9 p.m. episodes this year.
Sorted.
Yeah.
Sorted. I love that. We should also say that Bernie Winter, not the 70s entertainer, Gemma's mum Bernie is returning.
Yeah.
She went off for a bit. Did she go back to Holby or Casualty?
No, she's not been in either.
Oh, anyway, she's back. I'd sense you didn't miss Bernie much because she left a few months ago.
I haven't missed her really at all.
You not?
Has her son been in it at all since?
I don't remember seeing Paul for ages. He had that massive storyline.
And then he was like,
I don't know.
Not there.
Yeah, maybe he's back with this. Bernie comes back to basically be part of Gemma's ongoing, can't cope with the baby story, which is going to get quite serious and quite lots of moving stuff ahead for Gemma. She kind of admits after putting the babies in danger that she's really struggling with these kids.
Bernie just wants to make a fast buck all the time, doesn't she?
Well, I think we're going to see Bernie 2.0, and she's going to try and make amends to, be the... Because she did with Paul. She kind of stepped up for Paul, didn't she, finally? And although she went about things in a kind of Bernie way and kind of made things worse, actually. But I feel like Corrie are now on the road to trying to rehabilitate Bernie.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So I've got this image of her like saying, I'll look after the quads for you. Then at the end of the day, she'll come back. She goes, I've solved your problem. You've got triplets now. I've sold one of them.
And we've got 500 quid to spend on Freshco.
Mum, what have you done that for?
That's an 8 p.m. cliffhanger. You never even got the receipt. Oh, give over. I'll get some takeaway. I've sold one of them. So welcome back, Bernie, but she's got a lot to prove, hasn't she?
As long as she is a completely different character, I'm fine with it.
Not much to ask.
No.
Emmerdale.
Uh-huh.
Lots going on with Paddy and Marlon. What can you tell us about this?
Well, Marlon.
Hashtag relationship goals.
Paddy and Marlon. They're often brought in as light relief, aren't they, these two, Paddy and Marlon? But they've got a bit of a serious storyline next week because we've seen Marlon suffering since being released from prison. He's snapping at the dingles.
Oh, he's not happy, is he, Marlon?
No.
There's no lols anymore for Mark Charnock.
Definitely not.
No.
It gets to the point where he thinks, or Paddy thinks, that Marlon's having a heart attack because he's like whipping his arm.
Yeah.
He has to get rushed to the hospital. But then events take an unexpected turn just in time for the Thursday 7:30 cliffhanger.
Emmerdale returns at 8 p.m.
When Paddy goes into the hospital with Marlon, with the paramedics, and then goes back outside because he realises that he's left baby Eve.
Oh, baby Eve, yeah.
In
he's
the back seat.
In the car.
Yes, and she's gone.
She's gone?
Yeah, Bernie sold her.
She's now available in Freshco's with the quads. 5 for 4.
So
it's totally Bernie.
Yeah.
It's like crossover.
And then the social workers are getting involved by Friday.
Boo.
In the hierarchy of people who are horrible in soaps, social workers are higher up than police officers.
Do you think so? Police officers are quite hated, especially in EastEnders.
But the most hated is the social.
They are like they're almost blackmail, aren't they? If you don't, the social are going to come. They're going to take your babies. Remember they took Lola's baby in EastEnders because she had paint on her foot.
Yeah. So they kind of swoop in and just separate mothers or fathers from children.
Yeah, very quickly. They've just been around because of Jade and Fizz and Hope and all of that. They kind of were part of that story. So, but...
A social worker should move into a soap, into the street. And then there'd be like a permanent state of paranoia.
Yes.
Because everyone will be like...
Yeah.
Being the best parents of all time because...
They're hiding in plain sight.
That's right. Yeah.
So is that kind of where we leave it with that Paddy Marlon story? But we don't know where Eve is? Just gone? We have to tune in?
We do know because it says in red here on the storyline document, but we can't reveal. But Paddy is racked with guilt as Chaz berates him.
I would, if anyone was going to berate me, I would hate it to be Chaz because you'd be right berated, wouldn't you?
You really would.
I'd berate that. Well, that's very dramatic, isn't it?
Yes. And then Kim and Andrea play dirty. I think we'll just leave it at that.
Is that not? That's pre-Watershed.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. I'll just leave you with a little taster there.
Okay. Look forward to that bit of dirtiness in the Tate house.
Dirty. 3 R's.
Dirty. Moving on, we've got Hollyoaks to give a mention to here. Hollyoaks has been running, but it's in sharp focus next week. Darren Osborne's depression storyline. This is quite an interesting one. People would think, Darren, he's the comic relief, he's the joker in the pack, he's the life and soul.
But it's Tears of a Clown.
It's Tears of a Clown. So they've kind of embarked on this, he's dissatisfied with his life and just can't cope with lots of stuff that's gone on in the last few months. But it's quite a long-term exploration of male mental health in your 30s, 40s. Corrie have done this really well, I think, in the past. Obviously, the Aidan Connor story was...
They've done it both well and badly.
They have done it well and badly. They did it very well with Aidan.
And not so well with Steve.
Yeah, Steve...
And Steve is kind of like a Darren character, isn't he?
Very much so, yeah. He's kind of... it's a good parallel to draw in that he is the joke with the pack and he's the kind of, he's the put-upon husband and he's the kind of the embarrassing dad, that sort of thing. But I feel like when Corrie did that depression story with Steve, I'm not sure that they go back to it enough.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
He's just reverted to type, really.
He seems to have, yeah.
But you think there's more planning gone into the Darren story?
I do feel there's more planning gone into the Darren story. I feel it's been building up for quite a long time. And I think you got an actor like Ashley Taylor-Dawson who's got a lot of natural empathy. And I think he's one of the longest serving cast members. So I do think if you've grown up with the show that you do relate to him and you do sympathise with him and you root for him. So I think he's a good choice for this story. Mm-hmm. And yes, I think it's and Hollyoaks have said it is a long-term thing that they are investing. And, Hollyoaks has done well the last few years with mental health stories.
And it all comes to a head at this open mic comedy night.
Yeah, so he's basically acting quite manically to distract himself from his kind of overwhelming emotions. And he's been planning all these events and they've all been a bit of a disaster. And it's going to come to a head next week. And people are going to start to question and kind of say, are you okay, Darren? What's going on? But it's whether he admits it, whether he gets help. And I think the person who is going to surprisingly be the person to help him is Kyle, who actually is now the person who is engaged to Darren's ex-wife, Nancy. So those two shouldn't really be friends, but he is going to become a bit of a support
sounding
for Darren.
board.
So that is kind of big in focus next week. So that's Hollyoaks' big story. We
should do Neighbours, really, shouldn't we?
Well,
the 35th.
Happy birthday to Neighbours. There's my terrible Aussie accent. So
is it set in South Africa this week?
Yes. Just for 1 week only. Right. So get on this, everybody. Neighbours.
High concept.
Oh, the highest of concept. I can't even reach it. It's so high. So if you thought going on a boat and having the same day told 4 times was a crazy concept for EastEnders 35th,
passé.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Neighbours. Week commencing 16th of March. Basically, it's on 10 times in a week. So we've got our normal daytime showing. And in the daytime, we've got the Lassiter's Wedding Expo, which is going to play host to 5 weddings.
Keep that number in your head. 5.
5 weddings of classic Neighbours couples from each era of the show. So we go as far back as Jane Harris and Des Clark, and as up to date as Prue Wallace and Gary Canning.
Is Benito Alessi going to be in it?
I mean, that's embargo, David. We can't talk about that. Or the Lim family returning.
Oh my God.
Let's hope so.
Was that when they were suspected of eating animals or eating dogs
or something? It was indeed a dark time for the show.
Oh,
yeah.
Julie suspected them.
Julie did, yeah.
Terrible.
We've had the Alessi twins back last year, so, that's...
Benito's not come back though, has he?
No. Stop saying Benito. Stop being obsessed. What about Kathy? What about Marco?
Rick Alessi. Did he come back?
Available? No, I don't think so.
Oh.
None of those characters are coming back, but several others are.
Yeah.
So that's the concept of the daytime show. Running in parallel to that, a gang of, I'd say, the kind of glamorous younger neighbours head off to Piers Grayson's Island Resort, which is conveniently remote and deserted, for Ellie Conway's 35th birthday party. This is the backdrop to Finn Kelly, amnesiac former teacher and recovering psychopath, to take revenge on all his enemies. And this is what has been building up for months.
And there's going to be 3 victims, right?
3 victims, 5 weddings.
Put those numbers together.
Oh, I failed my maths twice, sorry.
And you get 8.
Yeah, brilliant, well done. So yeah.
3 and 5, 35, 30th anniversary of Neighbours.
It does its Selfridge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is kind of our high concept week. There's
and
so much going on.
The death stuff is going to be on at 10 p.m, right?
Yeah, and do you know what it's called? Neighbours Endgame. It's kind of dubbed because it's late night. It's a bit more violent. The whole Finn strand of stories. It does link up to the main show. So to get the most out of this, you will have to watch everything. But it takes place. Neighbours Endgame.
Is this the NCU?
Yeah, it's totally that. I'm hoping that it crosses with Home and Away, and Alf turns up on this island, and it's actually Summer Bay. Wouldn't that be amazing? So it's on normal time, 1:45 and 5:30 in the daytime. That's your nice, kind of wedding-y stuff going on in Erinsborough, and then the Island Resort Holiday from Hell, Finn's Revenge, is at 10 p.m. every night across
how violent
Monday
it's going
to
to
Friday.
get.
Well, there's going to be death, and I've seen some quite alarming pictures of people looking very beaten up and down mine shafts and with snakes and
decapitated.
That was something else I was watching. So yeah, see if there's any decapitations. Imagine that in Neighbours, that people just started being garroted.
That's how the end of the week. Just 3 heads on spikes.
One of them's Kylie's. Yeah. One of them's Jason's.
Happy birthday. That's when good. Entrails.
It's going to be like post-apocalyptic the week after, isn't it? In Ramsey Street, it's so
Wolf
huge.
Creek.
Yeah, it's huge. But I think props to Neighbours for really pulling out the stops and giving people a proper treat, giving fans a treat for sticking with it. That would be a treat. That would be. I can't wait for the decapitation. Decapitation not confirmed, by the way. So yeah, that all kicks off, as does all of this, week beginning 16th of March. Is there any other soap business, David, you wish to share with us?
We've run out of business.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you checked for
I'm
any business,
force.
Any business behind your chair?
Completely voided.
Have you drunk your Coke Zero?
Yeah, that's so lovely. Send me some Coke Zero, please.
Yes.
I'll take anything. Panda Cola. Roller Cola.
Okay, so hopefully this time next week we'll have some more fizzy drinks to discuss. Well, if that is all,
that is it.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're here every week to talk about the soaps and give you a sneak preview. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and wherever else you find your podcast. So until next time, see you soon.